Hi everyone, I'm Isabel. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time on TikTok. Isabel, dinner! Just a few more minutes.
Oh, right. It appears that you are on native TikTok.
Recently, I saw a TikTok all about something called the Ballentine Project.
So a lot of kids living in remote northern First Nations reserves are in lockdown right now. The Ballentine Project is the solution that Dwight Ballantyne, who grew up at Montreal Lake First Nation, came up with to help these kids.
The video had me curious. What was the project? Who was it helping? That's when I thought, who better to talk to than the movement's creator?
My name is Dwight Ballantyne from Montreal Lake Nation. April 2019, I decided to launch a campaign, and it's called the Ballentine Project. And with the Ballentine Project, we are having our first annual We See You Day next Monday, January 11th, and we will be shedding light to those living in remote communities.
How did you come to doing this work? What was your inspiration?
From my experience, I always felt like I was invisible, and I've seen a very big gap between remote communities and an urban setting.
I grew up in Montreal Lake Nation, a remote northern community an hour away from the nearest city. I grew up there living with my family. I played a lot of hockey, went to school, never really left my res too often. The times I would leave was to go play hockey in other communities and sometimes in the city. The one thing about my community was that I was surrounded by my family and friends that would help each other out, but there was also challenges that I would face.
We See You Day will be all about spreading awareness about those living in remote communities, and we will be sharing that, taking that into the urban setting and letting people know that there is people living in remote communities who are considered invisible in Canada today.
I first heard about the project on TikTok. Can you talk about how the response has been on social media?
Since we have been launching this We See You Day, we have a lot of overwhelming feedback towards what we have been doing. And that came into place once we started doing our activity boxes that we were originally going to send to one community.
They're looking for people who are willing to send boxes full of activity books and games and puzzles and markers, crayons, things that they can use to pass the time.
And since then, we have been doing a lot more than we originally thought we were going to do, because we're sending boxes, activity boxes to those communities, and now we are sending 450 boxes to 10 communities across Canada.
If you had a message for all Canadians to take away from your journey, what would it be?
I would like to encourage people to unlearn what they've been taught in schools, because some of that stuff is frustrating to hear and to see, because that's not the truth. And if people could learn more about Indigenous culture and Indigenous history to understand the real truth of what's really going on in Canada. I want to bridge the gap and let people know there is people who are living with water crises and moldy houses and stuff like that, and it's not shown in the media. So I'd like to share my experience to these people and let them know that there's other people in Canada too that they need to pay attention to.